Good evening, everybody. It's Brenda Easton, founder of the Black Business Owners Network, also founder of Black Wall Street DC, Operation Save DC. Thank you for joining the live today. I'm going to wait for a few people to come in, and I'm going to invite some people to come in as well, especially our guest speaker for the night. So give me a few minutes. Let's wait for a few people to come in. And again, I'm going to invite some people to come in. I see people are joining already. Fetty, hello. Shanti, Rama, welcome to the BBON's live. Hello, Mike Robinson. Where are you joining us from? Make sure everyone put in the comments what city and state you're joining us from. And tell us a little bit about your business. Include your website, your social media, so we can stay in touch with you. All right, let me share this and let a few more people come in. We'll be starting shortly. Thanks again for joining. All right. Hello, Madinga. Welcome. Tonight is another day for Black Wall Street DC, Operation Save DC's 30 Days of Giving. If you have something that you would like to give, doesn't have to be monetary, but donations are welcome as well. You can find out more about Black Wall Street DC, Operation Save DC, by going to my partner's website, which is Rhonda Hamilton 4dc.com. Again, Rhonda Hamilton, 4dc.com. And click on Black Wall Street, and you'll learn more about it. Learn how you can become a member. And bypass all the marketing efforts, because we're going to put you right in touch with clients. We're going to connect you directly. So make sure you check out more about the membership. Okay? All right, again, I'm inviting some people and waiting for a few more people to come on. In the meantime, make sure you jot this down to be sure to become a member of Black Wall Street DC, Operation Save DC Facebook page. And again, go to Rhonda Hamilton 4dc.com and click on Black Wall Street. Rhonda Hamilton, 4dc.com. All right, be right back. I'm inviting a few more people. Hello, Tanya. Welcome. Hello, Jonathan. Make sure everyone share this. Share. Again, this is another day of Black Wall Street DC, Operation Save DC's 30 Days of Giving. Make sure you join us every night. Tomorrow we're going to have marketing tips. I'm going to be hosting. I'm going to give you marketing tips, free marketing tips as a part of our 30 Days of Giving on Black Wall Street DC, Operation Save DC. If you haven't become a member yet, make sure that you become a member. Go to Rhonda Hamilton 4dc.com. Rhonda Hamilton, 4dc.com. And click on Black Wall Street DC to join. We're going to be getting some legal tips from Stephen J. Bush. He's going to be joining us shortly. And speaking of Stephen, here he is now. Is it Stephen or Stevaughn?
Stevaughn. Just give me 1 second. I'm trying to figure out how to join on my laptop. Hold on. Is that? No, that's on my phone.
Yeah, I see you. I can see you. Yep, take your time. Hello, Again, good evening, everyone. My name is Brenda Easton. I'm the founder of the Black Business Owners Network. Also, founder of Black Wall Street DC, Operation Save DC. And this is part of our 30 Days of Giving. Tonight, we're going to have on Stephen J. Bush. He's going to be giving you some legal tips for business owners, legacy planning, and things of that nature. So make sure you share this. Share it, okay? Just let me, just let me know when you're ready.
I am 100% ready.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. Good evening, BBO and family. Good evening. Again, I'm Brenda Easton, founder of the Black Business Owners Network, also founder of Black Wall Street DC, Operation Save DC. And welcome to another day of 30 Days of Giving. Tonight, we're giving back with knowledge, okay? The kind that protects our families, our businesses, and our legacies. Joining us is attorney Stevaughn J. Bush, a trusted advocate for business owners and families in D.C. and Maryland. He specializes in legacy planning, business law, family law, and real estate. And he's here tonight to share some free legal tips that can help you to secure your future. So make sure you tag another business owner and share this live. You don't want to miss this. This is a part of Black Wall Street DC, Operation Save DC's 30 Days of Giving. And this is our mission-driven campaign to uplift the community through daily acts of service, education, resources, and blessings. Everyday leaders, professionals, and entrepreneurs across the United States, but specifically in Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, we give back, whether it's knowledge, support, meals, giveaways, or opportunities to help someone else to rise. This is community economics. This is legacy building. This is how we strengthen our city, our families, and our future together. Tell you a little bit about Stevaughn J. Bush and the law offices of Stevaughn J. Bush. This is a firm that concentrates on the legal needs of business owners and their families. Stevaughn specializes in estate planning, though he likes to use the phrase legacy planning to describe his practice because estate planning often brings up issues that affect your legacy and generational wealth, such as family law, contracts, business, and real estate law, among other things. Stevaughn possesses wide-ranging legal expertise and has a strong background in entrepreneurship that serves him well in advising his clients on a number of complex legal issues. Stevaughn is admitted to the Washington, D.C. and Maryland bars. He received his law degree from Howard University School of Law in 2018 after obtaining a bachelor's degree in political science with a minor in philosophy from Baruch College in 2013. As a product of Howard University, Stevaughn's legal advocacy is deeply inspired by civil rights figures such as Thurgood Marshall, Pauli Murray, and Charles Hamilton Houston. He lives by the motto, each one, teach one, and he strives to do what he can to empower his clients. Stevaughn's drive, integrity, and creativity is demonstrated by his tireless efforts on behalf of his clients, both inside and outside of the courtroom. No matter the situation, his goal is to prioritize the long-term success of his clients. To learn more about the law office of Stevaughn J. Bush, go to www.sjbadvocacy.com. Again, www.sjbadvocacy.com. Or you can give them a call at 202-810-5506. Introducing Stevaughn J. Bush. Welcome, Stevaughn. How are you this evening?
Miss Easton, I am doing so well. I've been waiting on this, ever since we've gotten in contact. It is my honor, privilege, to not only be on the Stevaughn network at this moment, but also to see and really observe the great work that you do in terms of your community advocacy, in terms of the platform you're building to bring Black wealth as a mainstay in DC
Yes.
through your Black Wall Street initiative. Again, those are things that are not lost on the people that know what they're looking at. And so thank you so much for your tireless efforts. Thank you for having me. And in the future, if you want to continue to collaborate on workshops or anything like that, please just let me know. My services are always available to you and your platform and anything that you need. Thank you so much.
Yes, I'm gonna take you up on that offer. Thank you so much.
I'm here. I'm here by your grace, and I appreciate it. And today I did want to just talk a little bit about asset protection, and why it's so important. I think people think about business, assets, things like that, one dimensionally. And that is a flaw. And I'm not going to mince words today because there's too many things going on in our community, in the world right now to be mincing words. That is a flaw in our communal thinking, right? We have to start thinking three-dimensionally, four-dimensionally, five-dimensionally, because that's what the world is turning into. That's what the world has already been. And so what I want to talk about today are just two aspects of what my firm really specializes in. So we are licensed in DC and in Maryland. We're about to get that license in Virginia very, very soon. So please watch out for that. But overall, we care about helping the DMV prosper, right? This is our home, and we do it for the people here, the people that have lived here, the people that will continue to live here, right? We are not a stranger to our community at all, right? And so our platform rests on helping small business owners and their families. But most important, what we specialize in is asset protection, right? Asset protection does not just mean physical assets, the things that you can see, the things that you can count. It also means your intellectual property, right? The things that you come up with in your mind. Our community has not valued its ideas enough to be able to have conversations around protecting everything that you are, right? Protecting your kids, protecting your ideas, protecting your business, protecting your money. It's all part of the same pendulum. And so today I want to talk about asset protection from two respects. I want to talk about first the basic business models that are available to business owners, right? I want to talk about something that hits home a little bit more concretely, and then I'll talk about legacy planning. Only that way, so that we can again talk about things that people know and are okay with, and then we can talk about the other stuff.
Right.
So ideally, the people that need to be thinking about protecting their assets are a wide range of people. That includes people who are business owners, people who are freelancers, people who are investors, right? If you're that at this moment, any of those things, you need to be thinking about protection things. But even if you're an aspiring business owner, even if you're an aspiring investor, even if you're, freelancing with no aim at all, the thing is that you got to look at the end goal, at the end game, rather than being fixed on the beginning. And I know for a lot of business owners, it's a new world. A lot of us are first-time business owners.
Right.
But the thing is that it's just like chess. You got to look at the end game first, know at least the general direction that you want to head in, and then from there, you talk all of that fancy stuff. You talk all of the things that are associated with wealth, right? And so, what I wanted to talk about in terms of uh, business, right? We're going to start at the beginning. We're going to talk about business planning, right? Business planning processes. And that conversation has to start with business structures, right? A lot of folks think, hey, I'm just going to get an LLC and I'll be good. The thing is that's actually great thinking, just because the LLC is a very new phenomenon and it does offer great protection, but your job is not finished once you get an LLC, right? And so when we look at business structures, we're looking at, sorry, I have my folks want to bother you when you're doing stuff. But we have our business structures, and so what we're going to look at are the things that are important when it comes to your business structure, which are taxes, right? Which are what are your legal responsibilities, and also personal liability. So there are, let me just count it real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are at least 5 business structures that every business owner should be familiar with. The structures are the sole proprietorship, which is the simplest thing that people can do to at least get into the system. A lot of the errors that people go through in our community is that they go through things with no papers, right? They're just making money. They're making money under the mattress. They're doing this. They're doing that. You can still do all of that, but you need to have some kind of structure that accounts for what your business activity is. Without that, you are already drowning, right? And it's so easy because of sole proprietorship. Let's say, for example, that all of the other structures are cost prohibitive. A sole proprietorship, all that is going to the state, state website, Maryland, DC, and saying, look, I'm doing business. I don't want all of that fancy stuff. I want to be able to get my own business bank account. I want to be able to do all these things. I don't want to have to deal with all of the silly paperwork. Boom, sole proprietorship. Everything that you were doing without a sole proprietorship is now above water. It is, green flagged, and you at least have that defense, even if the sole proprietorship does not come with the protections that the other things do. So again, if you're, running a business on a budget, and you're looking for a way to at least protect yourself, scratch your own back, you gotta make that first step of at least getting a sole proprietorship, so you can be in the system.
Mm-hmm.
Next, you have a partnership, right? Many people like partnerships because there's uh, a good deal of flexibility that you can build into the system of a partnership. So partnerships are usually, hey, people come in with whatever they're coming in with. They go out with whatever they, agree to go out with. And if one person is messing up in a partnership, that doesn't necessarily mean that the other person is held accountable. However, there are some, liabilities and obligations, but partnerships work, especially if you're doing like joint ventures, right? Where it's like a specific guided thing, and you want to make sure that, hey, I want to have somebody with me, but I don't necessarily want to go this alone.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that partnership is for, and it does offer some protection. Of course, not the highest protection, but it's better than a sole proprietorship. Um, Next, you have your LLC, which is hugely popular,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I definitely do recommend an LLC as a starter kit, because with the LLC, as a lot of people know and understand, it's a limited liability company, right? Meaning that your liability is limited in a certain sense, not completely, right? You can't just go around and do whatever and say, hey, I'm under limited liability protection. What it means is that you have the benefit of a corporate veil, right? Meaning that you have a separation legally between yourself and your business. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're doing anything under your business activity, personally, you will not be responsible for many of the things that might occur. Now, there are exceptions to it. Fraud, if you're committing fraud, if you're commingling assets, if you're doing a whole bunch of things, you don't get the benefit of the limited liability company protection. And again, something in our community that I think folks are struggling with, right, is that, hey, I got a business, I got a limited liability LLC, I can do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It don't work like that. It don't work like that at all. And the good thing is that with a limited liability company, you can really set boundaries. You can really impose order in your business through what's called an operating agreement, right? And an operating agreement is just a standard agreement that you have either, with people that you're working with, members of your limited liability company, or anybody else or anything else that you want to clarify. It's the constitution of your company. Just like America has a
Yeah.
constitution, The
Mm-hmm.
limited liability, the operating agreement is that constitution. Whatever you want to happen in your business, you put that in there, you customize those terms so that your input and your output makes sense to you, right? Next, you have a corporation. People call it a C corp, and that's more of an involved structure, of course. It's not beyond reach of many business owners, but when you have a corporation, it means that you're either about to scale or you have a scalable model. And with the corporation, you have some double taxation issues, right? That if it's not worth it for you, right, to have a corporation, you're gonna get double taxed. You're gonna have the benefit of having shareholders, right? Stock people that own stock in your business, and that's a great way to leverage investment for your business. Which is why I say if you're trying to scale, if you have a number of people that you know, a pool of people, if you will, that you know can provide you help on a consistent basis, they become your shareholders in a C corp kind of setting. And with the C corp, you have that corporate veil protection. You have all of those things, but you have a lot more formalities that, again, I think people are not really paying attention to. And it only takes that one little bit of trouble for the IRS, any state comptroller to try to burst a bubble if you're not keeping great paperwork with a corporation, with a C corp. Right, so that's one of the downfalls of that structure. It's just that much more that you have to do in paperwork, but it does make it worth it if you do have that kind of business generating, if you do have that kind of structure generating. You also have an S corp, which I think is hugely popular.
Mm-hmm.
My law firm is an S corp, and the reason being is that you have certain advantages that a C corp, doesn't give you right away, and a limited liability corporation does not company, excuse me, does not give you right away. One of those things is that you're able to do a little bit of both. When it comes to LLCs and C corps, meaning that with an LLC, it's not necessarily the best scalable model because you can't necessarily, there's no structure to really retain shareholders, right? Shareholder interests. But with an S corp, it does give you that ability to retain a shareholder. I think the number is up to 100 shares that you're able to distribute under an S corp, and so you get the benefit of that, which is associated with a C corp. But you also get that limited liability protection as well with the S corp. So it's making it hugely popular. Again, a drawback of the S corp, without going into too much detail because the nuances are very many. Um, when you're talking about an S corp, you're talking about having limited liability protection, but you're also talking about reporting requirements that are not associated with an LLC, right? So anybody making that jump between the LLC to the S corp, just know that you're going to have to pay more in taxes. You're going to have to pay more. You're going to have to do a little bit more paperwork. It's not an astounding amount of paperwork, but it is an increase. And so the real big difference is between the different structures as you move away from a sole proprietorship is not necessarily the amount of liability, but it's the amount of administrative paperwork that you have to do, shareholding as well, and the taxes. The tax burden can vary between different structures. Can you give me 1 second? I just want to get my charger for my phone.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Great information so far.
Thank
Yes.
you so much. I will
Mm-hmm.
be right back.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Make sure you guys are taking notes, and if you have any questions at all, put them in the comments. Even if we don't get to them doing this live, and put them up later, he's going to answer them in the comments. But if you're on tonight, put them in the comments so we can get your questions answered. Okay. Take notes. Make sure you take notes. This is some important information, especially for business owners and aspiring business owners. Get your business in order. Okay. in order.
Coming right back. I got my charger.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Again, this is a part of Black Wall Street DC, Operation Save DC's 30 Days of Giving. We're giving some knowledge out tonight. Remember, it doesn't always have to be monetary gifts that you give during our 30 Days of Giving. Knowledge is very important and it's key. Once you get knowledge, it cannot be taken away from you. So again, make sure you jot down some notes. Any questions you have, put them in the comments. If you'd like to come on camera, put that in the comments, or just send a request saying you want to come on camera to ask a question in person live during this live, okay? All right. Again, welcome everybody. Welcome, welcome. I'm Brenda Eason, founder of the BBON, Black Business Owners Network. And this is our 30 Days of Giving for Black Wall Street DC, Operation Save DC. We have on Stephen J. Bush, of the law offices of Stephen J. Bush, and he's located and has license in Maryland and in DC. If you need his services, make sure you reach out to him. Again, let's see. The website is www.sjbadvocacy.com. Again, www.sjbadvocacy.com. Phone number is 202-810-5506. Again, 202-810-5506. If you needed services, you have any questions, you'd like to have a consultation with him, make sure you reach out to him. Just let me know when you're ready.
Yes. So I am ready. And unfortunately, I have to just hold it, my phone for just a little bit as it charges.
Yes.
And then the last structure that I think is definitely worth discussing, because a lot of us in our community have very charitable impulses, right? We are a community that lifts as we climb, right? And I don't believe that we need to forget that principle, even though I think, things don't look so good for that principle nowadays because of how the world is working, but it saw our ancestors through and it will see us through. And so when it comes to lifting as you climb, the perfect structure is a not-for-profit structure, because not only, and again, as you move away from a sole proprietorship, the main difference is whether the taxes that are associated with these different structures are worth it, right? And when it comes to a not-for-profit, everybody knows that, at least on the outside giving into a not-for-profit, you have tax exemptions, right? You have things that make the structure worth it so that you can do the charitable things. However, with a not-for-profit, you do have to give up some autonomy, depending on how you structure it, because you need to have a board of directors, right? Meaning that it's really the board of directors, at least legally speaking, that are supposed to say what goes and what doesn't go in the enterprise or the venture that you're doing. But of course, if it's your not-for-profit, your board of directors are going to listen to you, right? You can boot them out, whatever. But in terms of different amounts of flexibility, it's probably not the most flexible if you want to do other things besides your charitable mission, only because as a not-for-profit, you're not supposed to be making profit. And that's a big myth, because people hear that and they think you're not supposed to be making money. Not-for-profits can absolutely make money, right? A lot of not-for-profits are multi-million, multi-billion entities, right? But the way they're doing it, what they're doing, it's definitely under a charitable umbrella. And more often than not, at least on paper, their directors and their executives are not getting the same kind of profit that they would, at least on paper, directly in different structures. So, one of the ways that people bypass that is that they have a not-for-profit own an LLC, right? And when it comes to the not-for-profit, you can't do certain things. But when it comes to the not-for-profit owning the LLC can absolutely do whatever it needs to do at the direction of the not-for-profit, right? Including make profit. So I know the AARP, the organization that helps senior citizens with their rights and their care and things like that.
Right.
They have that same kind of structure. They have a foundation, and then under their foundation, they have a number of different money-making entities, right? And so that's how they work things. And so any combination of the different structures will help a serious business owner get along the way they need to. The issue is that we got to stop with the under the mattress stuff, right? We have to stop it. We have to stop with the, I'm not doing the paperwork stuff. You got to do the paperwork. You
Yeah.
got to do the paperwork. The paperwork is actually, and I know it seems contrary to reason, but the paperwork is actually your path to freedom. It's not being under the radar,
Mm,
right? Because when you're under the radar, folks want to know what you're making. They want to know how
mm,
you're making it, and
yeah.
the invasiveness just skyrockets, right?
Right.
At least if you got some papers and you got a trail, you can say, look. So again, just flipping that mindset to being one of being proactive, doing things legit, right? So that that money cannot be questioned,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then from there, thinking about scaling and evolving. One piece that I like talking about, because as a community, we need to start thinking about ourselves and envisioning ourselves after we spend a career, however long that is, being successful in our businesses.
Right.
We need to talk more about exit strategies. We need to talk about
Yes.
business succession planning, right? That involves foresight. It involves you saying to yourself a number of different things, such as, who do I want to pass my business to? How do I want to pass it to them? Do I want to pass my business on?
Yeah.
Right? It involves you presupposing that you're already going to be successful. And
Yes.
I know that for a lot of people in our community, it's already a stretch to have a business, right?
Yeah.
Making money, right? To be doing things however you're doing it. But at this point, when you take all of that hard work, all of the sweat, tears, and things like that, you want to build a legacy. It's about building a legacy. It's not about quick cash. It's not about any of that. It's about, okay, this is how I'm going to eat. This is how my family's going to eat. This is how, this is how we're going to stay employed. This is how we're going to employ other people, right? It has to be that. And that's the next part of the equation that we have to catch up with. We have the business. We
Right.
have ways that people are making money, the business plans, the da-da-da. We need to think about the next step, which involves what happens to this business if I'm not in it or if I'm not running.
Yes.
And that's what business succession touches on. And so as goals and stuff like that grow, uh, the things that you care about also grow. And so with business succession, before we talk about the exact nuts and bolts of it, I did want to talk a little bit about compliance, right?
Right.
Compliance and making sure that your business is continuing to run smoothly are hugely important. They go hand in hand. And when I say compliance, what I mean is that your business, does it adhere to all of the regulations of your field, right? So if you have a plumbing business, for example, do you have all the certifications necessary
Yeah.
in order to go out and perform your plumbing duties? And a lot of businesses, especially in the DMV and in New York, places that I know very well, they do not have the certifications all the time.
Mm.
And not having the certifications all the time means one thing that my office handles all the time: litigation.
Lawsuit.
Lawsuit, litigation, breach of
Mm-hmm.
contract, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that in order to not have to deal with that, it is so easy. All you got to do is do the upfront, hey,
Yes.
whatever the amount of hours is that you're required for your certification, whatever
Mm-hmm.
the sum is, you got to do a cost benefit, because
Yes.
people out here highly litigious and they will sue the crap out of people.
That's right.
I know, because people use me to do that. So, and the thing is, I got to do it. And my whole thing is that it is so avoidable, because people know their industry better than anybody else. People in landscaping, for example, they know what they got to have. People in, any other professions, lawyers, we know what we got to have,
Right.
right? Just go and take that extra step, get it done. so that you can be in compliance and it doesn't sneak up on you later, because you might uh, 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 not get caught not having a certificate or a certification the first 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right? But what I see more often than not, people, maybe they get away with it for however long they're doing the business. That last year, the last 2 years, oh, that's when they get got. That is when they get got.
Yes.
So make sure that as a part of your business strategy that you are complying with that you literally make room to comply with the things that you got to comply with. And so after you get your structure, you're making money, you're complying with things, paying your taxes, you're doing this, you're doing that. That's when you can talk about, and you got the cash flow, all of that stuff. That's when you can talk about, okay, what happens to this business if I'm not running it? And so a number of things come into play when you're talking about business succession. And again, the main question is that you're answering with a business succession plan, because this is a good segue, I think, to legacy planning, is what happens when I am no longer able to run a business. It don't mean that you're dead. It don't mean that you're in a coma. It don't mean that you're, don't got your faculties. It just means what happens when I want to be in Maui drinking, pina colada, and I don't have to, drive sales like I used to, right? So the three things that you want to be very aware of when it comes to business succession are a business continuity plan. So just like it sounds, it's what are the procedures, the exact procedures for failures in my business if I'm not around. So for me, for example, I know for a law business, the things that can go wrong if I'm not around are any of my lawsuits that I have open with clients, for example. They need replacement counsel, right? They need people who are knowledgeable about what's happening. That's when I, leave instructions for an associate, leave instructions for another lawyer that I'm working with, right? That is at the simplest core what a business continuity plan looks like. It looks like seeing what makes your business run, what your business cannot go without, and making sure that those gaps are plugged in just in case anything happens, right? And that involves a very serious sit down and a very serious analysis of what makes your business work. But that's okay, because business owners know their business better than anybody else,
Yes.
right? So
Absolutely.
it's literally a question about, hey, what do you think should happen, given X, Y, or Z? Next, you have the actual succession planning, right? And I know a lot of people know about the word succession from an HBO TV show that was on not too long ago. But succession planning means actually picking the people who you want to occupy your business or key positions in your business when you're no longer running it, right? So that can be a son, a daughter, a nephew, a friend, or whoever you think can take the mantle of learning your business, running the business, and then doing what you're doing, passing it on to somebody, right? That's where you gotta put on your glasses and really try to, like, pour over things, figure things out, because at bottom, what that means is that you are looking for people that you trust to
Yes.
make sure that people that understand that the business is just as important to you as it is to them, right? And again, I'll just use my law business as an example. There's certain things called key person insurance, right? So I'm one of the leaders of my business, and what key person insurance does is that, again, if anything happens to me monetarily, I have taken out insurance on myself so that I can pay for whatever the gaps may be cost wise. If I got to hire somebody else, if I got to buy this computer, if I got to do that, you can do that with key person insurance,
Okay.
right? So that's part of your succession planning. And just more at a basic level, um, we need to pool our resources together to have better rainy day coverage for ourselves. I feel like one of the things that often mess us up in our community is that we just don't have a backup plan, right? And I love it's a gift and a curse, because when people's backs against the wall, you see amazing things, you
Yeah.
see miraculous things, but that's not a way to live all the time at
Stressful.
all. It is not a way to live all the time. And so you want to have contingency planning as well. So the different insurance policies that you might be able to get, just in case anything happens. Talking to, certain financial institutions that can give you benefits. I know, for example, one of the banks that I'm with is People's Bank. Small bank, relatively speaking, but they offer so many benefits that come into play with my business, whether it be cash back from my employees if they're using a certain payroll system, right? Like literally those little things work so well as perks um, in a larger succession planning structure, because they keep the business moving without you having to do everything.
Right.
So that was, I guess, the first half of what I wanted to get out, just talking about overall business planning involving business structures, compliance, and also business succession.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to just talk about the hold on, gotta there we go. And I want to just talk about the more, I guess, tangible asset protection topics that I did have planned. So when you're talking about asset protection, you're not only talking about, for Bebon, all of the business owners that, are doing their thing, but you're talking about legacy planning, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you have a business, I don't care if the business is making $1 a year. You have a
Mm-hmm.
legacy. You have a legacy that you want to leave behind, that was
Yes.
worth leaving behind. Otherwise, you wouldn't have started a business,
Mm-hmm.
right? Businesses are not, you know, overnight things at all. They are well planned. They are well executed, and it makes absolutely no sense to do all of the planning, to do all of the execution, and you're not even thinking about your legacy. You're not even thinking
Mm-hmm.
about where things go if you're not around, right? And so that's where the key discussion for legacy planning comes in to the overall asset protection thinking, because if you're not thinking about your legacy, you are not protecting your assets
Mm.
at
Right.
all. And so a lot of people think that legacy planning is just for people who have a certain amount of assets. If you're a multimillionaire, if you're a quadrillionaire, that cannot be the furthest thing from the truth. And again, I'm going to get a
Mm.
little bit racial with this.
Okay.
White folk, they legacy plan like you will not believe. They get
Yeah.
literally. I have heard stories. Somebody had a napkin, wrote their wishes on the napkin,
Mm-hmm.
passed it to somebody who could put it on paper, and that was their legacy plan.
Wow.
That was their legacy plan. Now, when you think
That's
about our community, we
yeah.
are not doing that.
Yeah.
We think that you got to have $1 million. We think that
Yeah.
you got to have no, 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 no. You don't need to have $1 million. You need to have a mindset, and you need to have people that you are thoughtful about, right? So if you
Okay.
got family members, you got a legacy. If you got friends that you care about, you got a
Mm-hmm.
legacy. If you
Mm-hmm.
have institutions that you care about, you have a legacy. And so I encourage people to think not about, some of the more morbid pieces of legacy planning, like, oh, passing away, dying, all of this
Yeah.
stuff. The thing is that people get insurance policies, and it's the same thinking, right? Like an insurance policy, you're literally taking out a policy on your life. If you ask me, that's a little bit more morbid than
Yeah.
legacy planning, getting a will, getting a trust, because it's like at least you're thinking about structuring things in the future, if or whether or not you are alive. With the insurance plan or insurance policy, it's talking about whether you're going, what happens when you die.
When you die.
Yeah,
Period.
so it makes no sense to think about insurance as positive and a must-have conversation, and not having a will or having a trust.
Right.
Right. So it's the same conversation. And so if you have a business, if you own real estate, if you own a car, if you own a bank account, anything, anything that's worth something and you want to see it passed, you need to have some kind of instrument, whether it be a will, a trust, something that allows you to pass it to somebody. Now, I'm going to explain really quickly what the difference is between a will and a trust is, because I
That's
know a
a
lot of
question I
people.
had.
Absolutely. So, a will and a trust are definitely not the same thing. They have to deal with what's called probate. And probate is not anybody's friend. Probate is to be avoided like the plague. What probate is a system that the law uses. If you don't make a decision about what you want to do with your stuff, the law will make a decision about what's going to happen to your stuff, right? And there are a number of different rules about how your property is distributed if you don't give the state any guidance, if you don't give the law any guidance, right? And so what ends up happening is you see all of these bitter feuds when people pass away, right? When a beloved aunt or beloved grandma or beloved cousin or beloved brother passes away who had some stuff, you get people that necessarily weren't on the best of terms with that brother or that cousin or that auntie or that grandma. They start getting,
But fighting over it.
they start fighting over it. And the thing is that under the law, without any direction, they are legally entitled to have certain
Wow.
things.
Y'all hear that?
They just are. So that cousin that you don't like, if things play out where he's the only person who can actually receive your stuff by law, best believe he gonna be the
You gonna
first
get
one. Oh, that was my best cousin. I love
my best cousin.
him. See it all the time. And guess
Yeah,
what?
wow.
When that person, if that person doesn't get their way, because again, I do the litigation, I do the probate, I see human nature from all sides.
Yeah.
The minute that person doesn't get their way, that cousin that was crying and they gonna move along and say F that person anyway. I was just seeing what I can get. I've literally seen it. I've literally seen it. Once there's nothing to fight over, the charade drops.
Drops. Ding.
So again, to avoid that, you want to make sure that you have the devices in place. A will makes you way better off when it comes to probate than not having anything. A trust does even better. And so the
The
biggest,
will, can you just write it out yourself, or do you have to have a lawyer?
so you don't have to have a lawyer. There's a lot of software nowadays that can do it. You don't even have to. It doesn't have to be legal in nature necessarily. It has to be sufficiently clear. It does have to be. You do have to have two witnesses in many
Okay.
states, right? It has to be signed, all that stuff. The best practice is to get it notarized so that the state respects your wishes. But a will, again, the reason why white folks do it so easily is because it's not the hardest thing to do. It's a piece of paper that you write your wishes on. You get two people to say, I was there when he said
I
this,
witnessed it.
and everybody signs off on it. That's
Just like
it.
that.
That's why you can get a napkin, write on it, get people to
Right.
sign it. That's your will.
Damn.
And so when it comes to the difference between a will and a trust, a will is a probate device. A trust is not a probate. It's a non-probate device. And the big difference is that when you have a will, you're telling the state, okay, this is what I want to happen to my property. To the best of your ability, state, please supervise this process, right? With a trust, you're saying, look, I have this thing that holds my assets, and I don't want anything in this trust to go into probate. Meaning, I don't want the state to help to supervise, to do anything I don't want it to be in the legal system at all, any of my assets, because here are my directions, and I want my assets to pass like this without having probate. So with the will,
Okay.
you have the state who is an active participant in what happens to your stuff, and
Right.
anything can happen, right? When the state is looking at your stuff, anything can happen, right? They can say, oh, well, actually, yeah, they did say that, but we want this to happen. Or there's not
Wow.
enough of this, we're gonna do this, right? So you lose a certain amount of control, even though you do say what your wishes are,
Right.
right? And the court, they do the best job that they can, I would say, of making sure your wishes are
Okay.
protected. But you don't even want to be in a
You don't want to
situation.
chance it. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
because you risk losing a lot of value. It is a court process at the end of the day, and that all costs money. And guess where that money is coming from? That's coming from your estate,
Yeah.
right? And so with the trust, a trust does very well. It doesn't always avoid probate, but it does very well to avoid probate in a lot of instances. And so you can pass things to siblings, to brothers, to children without the court getting involved, without losing value. So
And is that
that's
something
why
you can do yourself to as well, to trust?
you can do a trust yourself, but again, the trick with a lot of these things comes in how they're structured, right? Only experts really understand how to
Okay.
structure these things, and that's
Okay.
really where the necessity for a lawyer comes in.
Right.
But by any means, I always tell my clients there are ways to get around having to do high-end expensive legacy planning. We have easy legacy planning tips and tools at our disposal every day that we just overlook. For example, one of the things that is popularly passed to family members are houses, right? So if somebody is able to get a house in the family, they want to make sure that they pass that bad boy to, a child, a sibling, whoever, to keep it in the family.
Yes.
A lot of people think that you got to keep it in the trust. A lot of people that you got to think that you got to put it in your will. Look, if it's a straightforward kind of plan that you have, for example, if you're a parent and you want to pass a home to a child, all you got to do is put the child's name on the deed with a right of survivorship, or you can deed it to them upon death, right? So any situation where the original owner passes away, what'll happen is that that house is not a probate asset. It by operation of law, it passes to the person that you wanted it to pass to. You didn't have to get a will for that. You didn't have to get a trust for that. All you had to do is just put some stuff on the deed to make sure that it passed to
Right.
whoever you were looking to pass it to. And so a lot of people overlook that, but that is a one non, probate device that you can use. But for more sophisticated estates, I definitely suggest legacy planning. Um, and when it comes to making sure that you leave that legacy that you worked hard to maintain and preserve during your life, it is not negotiable that you got to have at least one of three things: either a will, a trust, or a power of attorney that can arrange things while you are alive. And the power of attorney, just to give a quick explanation, that is a document that says if anything happens to me in these categories, for example, if I'm in a coma, if I'm out of the state, if, something, whatever have you, this other person can act on my behalf to do things for me. They can sign papers for me. I give them that permission. They can invest things for me. I give them that permission. Right? So these are just planning tools that we need to become a little bit more familiar with,
Familiar with. Yes.
because it makes all the difference between a sad story and a happy story. And so that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. And Miss
That's
Eason, thank
great.
you so much.
Yes. And is this something you should do like when you first start your business? Like this paperwork, when should that be done?
So I would say it should start at the very beginning of your journey, whatever your journey is, right? And so if that means you just started your business, perfect. If you're thinking about starting your business, it's still applicable, right? It's really a conversation that you want to have with yourself. The minute you have things in your life that you want to protect, and I feel like, just to go back to your initial question, we know who and what we want to protect way before we start a business, way
Mm-hmm.
before we started. And so I would say your legacy planning, even if you have just a bank account, even if you have just a car, even if you don't have a car, whatever, your legacy planning conversation starts the minute you say, I want to pass on something better than what was passed on to me.
Yeah.
Point blank, period.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. Let's see if anybody have any questions or want to come on to ask the questions. Just make sure just send a request to join, or just put the questions right in the comments. And like I said, if you don't, if you're not on, or you're watching it on a replay, we come back on in the comments to answer your questions. I did want to welcome Christopher Lynette to the live. Yeah,
Hello.
she wants to, thank you. That's a good friend of mine. He's been BBO since the beginning. We need to sit down and do this do this paperwork together.
So is that the proper way to say it? BB on?
BBON,
BBON. Okay.
just the letters.
Got you.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And welcome Lewis Robinson. Welcome Mardingo. Welcome Mike Robinson. Shanti Rama. Welcome everyone. Y'all have any
Hello.
questions? Yeah, make sure y'all put them in the comments. Y'all want to thank you, Stevaughn Bush, for all the tips, the amazing tips that you gave this evening. I hope everyone was taking notes. And please share this. You guys, this is some information that we need to know as a community. This is, like you said, the paperwork is our path to freedom. That's what I took away. My number one tip that I took away. Paperwork
The paperwork is a path to freedom. Look,
and
just to put it in the most visceral, vulgar terms, let's take it back to slavery. If you
mhm.
had them papers, they wasn't messing with you. At least not all the time. At least not
Right,
all the time.
right, right.
But that was the difference between freedom and slavery. Them papers. It's the same concept. A lot
Right.
of people are thinking about it a little bit backwards, thinking like, okay, if I get papers, I'm traceable, I'm trackable, all of this stuff. If you're not trackable, if you're not traceable, that's the issue.
That's the issue. Okay. So, a question I had is, what is one simple legal step people can take this week to protect their family or business? Something they can do this week.
So before the legal step, I want to talk about the legal reasoning or the reasoning period. To the first step you need to take after you think about, after you already come to the realization that you have something that you want to pass, is who can I trust? Who
Mm-hmm.
in my environment has been down for me such that,
Mm-hmm.
if something go wrong, I can rely on them, not to be grave robbing, not to be grave digging, all of that stuff, to actually take item A and give it to person A, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and
Right.
so it's really a question of who can you trust to get things done. That's the first thing that you got to think about before the legal stuff. Once you figure that out, you have to figure out what is the best way, the most non-complicated way to pass on the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so going to the question of what is the legal tip, I would say start small. Take baby steps. You have to get yourself in the frame of mind of, oh snap, there might be somebody who is in control of my stuff, right? The way that you start channeling that thinking, you got to get a power of attorney, somebody who you can say to yourself, because when you think about what a power of attorney is, it's something that works during your lifetime. It doesn't work after you pass away. So it's something that works during your lifetime, And it's the same principle of, hey, if something happens to me, who gonna hold me down? Right? So the
Mhm.
first legal tip I would say after you think about who you can trust is, okay, it doesn't even have to be a medical emergency. Who do I trust to sign off papers for me if I flip a house successfully, right? And I'm not in a
Mhm.
state or something like that. Start small with that, and then you work your way to bigger responsibilities. And then once you're there, then I think easing your way into a will or trust conversation becomes a lot easier.
Mhm.
So getting that power of attorney, thinking seriously about that power of attorney
Of
first.
attorney. Okay, right. You said a trust can keep the courts out, or will keep the courts out of your
So a
choice,
trust
your
does better.
decisions.
A trust does better.
Mhm. Mhm.
A will is great. However, there's a lot of state involvement. Too much
Too
for my
much.
liking
Yeah,
personally.
yeah, yeah. And you don't have to have a business to have a trust, right?
No, you don't have to have a business at all.
Okay. Just where you want your things to go and your wishes. Yeah.
It's that's decisions that were going to be made for you regardless, even if you and that's really what people are not understanding. You can act all selfish, you can huddle up, da da da. The thing is that your things don't go with you when you pass
No,
away, and the decisions that you're avoiding making, people are going to make those decisions for you if
for
you're not
you.
making it.
Wow. That right there.
That's what happens.
That's the key. Yeah, I hear that.
So I think we pump our chest about how powerful we like to be, how how much we control, but we leave so much money on the table because we don't even control things that we had dominion over when we were alive, right?
Right.
So
And like you said, the white race, they pass it down. They pass it down. That's how they get their generational wealth. Just steady going down, down, down.
and mind you, I want to, and this is one of the reasons why I got in this field because I want to keep it real. One of it doesn't make sense to not have an inheritance conversation because the biggest generator of wealth in this country, the where it comes from, is
Hmm.
inheritances.
Yes.
Trillions of dollars are passed from one person to another person, and that is how people are making their money in America.
That is how they
It's
hold on to it too.
it's not busting your butt for a whole lifetime and amassing a fortune. It's not a lot of that. It's,
Mhm.
hey, my parent was rich, my brother was rich, and they were thinking about me enough to pass it down. And I
Mm-mm.
am working with the wealth that they accumulated, and I am accumulating more on top of that wealth.
Let's
That's how
make it.
things work in America.
That's it right there. So, all right, guys, the black community, we have to do the same thing.
Ooh.
Yes, hopefully y'all were taking notes tonight. If not, on a replay, go back and watch it again and take notes and get started. Get started,
Yes,
okay?
and I'm hoping that I am privileged enough for Miss Easton to invite me back because I do want to hold workshops,
Okay.
with the community. I definitely want to continue educating about this because
Yes.
it's that important.
Very
It's not
important.
about, so we're at a time right now where civil rights are definitely in danger and being under attack. However, I think it's also important that we care about our silver rights as well, right? So there's civil rights
Mm-hmm.
and then there is silver rights. This is both a civil rights issue and a silver rights issue, and we got to get on top of it.
I like that. I like that. All right. Well, any final thoughts? Did you want to say anything else? And you want to leave the BBON community with any other tips or any other comments?
Just a comment. I appreciate all of the business owners in the forum. I've gotten a number of friend requests, and I feel like the majority of them I have accepted. If I didn't accept it, I apologize. I'm always doing things, but I appreciate the community. It is a vibrant community. I wish all of the business owners in the community very well.
Yes.
You got 70,000 millionaires on your hands, so
Yes.
that's a huge responsibility to deal with, Miss
Wow.
Houston.
Yes.
Um,
That's, we're gonna definitely be talking because I need some help.
look, and the thing is that my advocacy comes from exactly that place. It comes from a point of wanting to be an advocate
Yeah.
because at this point, the pool is so, dry and poor of people who actually care about uplifting the community
Mm-hmm.
that it's obvious. And so, I just want to continue the mission, making sure that wherever we can help out, wherever I can help out, I do that. Each one teach one. So I do thank you for your time.
Yes, this is my legacy, to make sure that my community gets this information, and that we do better, and that we can pass along generational wealth, assets, everything that we discussed tonight. We've got a lot accomplished in this 1 hour so far. So
I'm
passing down
glad.
this information, yes, is so important. Now, tell people again, how can they connect with your office and access your legal services?
Yes. So most important, and let me put on my charger for this because I don't want my thing to die. Most important, I want to say that again, we at my office we pride ourselves in zealous advocacy inside and outside of the courtroom. And
Mm-hmm.
so inside of the courtroom, it's obvious what that looks like. We give it our all when it comes to our representation. We've been able to get phenomenal results for our clients. But outside of the courtroom, we do have a legal library that people can access at our website, www.sjbadvocacy.com.
Mm-hmm.
Literally a plethora of information about different business structures, different asset protection techniques, different legacy planning techniques. So that's the first step that folks can take to ingratiate themselves more in whatever topic they need to know about. Also, we do have free legal guides, about business that we do offer through the website.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you wanted to connect, my emails are info@sjbadvocacy.com. So info@sjbadvocacy.com. And also my personal email or my direct email is Stevaughn@sjbadvocacy.com. You email that email, you're going to get in contact with me,
Mm-hmm.
right? So those two emails, if you wanted to get in contact, my phone number is 202-810-5506. My office is pristinely located in L'Enfant Plaza near the wharf. So please
Okay.
come out and visit us. It's
Yes.
600 Maryland Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful office building that we love entertaining clients at. Um, and also, if you wanted to connect, via, let's see, I said email, phone,
Mm-hmm.
all that.
Social media.
Social media,
Mm-hmm.
we're on Facebook. We have our law page on Facebook. So if you look up the name of the law firm, you'll find us. We also have our Instagram, SJB, well, what is it? SJB Advocacy
Mm-hmm.
underscore S Corp.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll find us there. We do have other things that we're doing for the community, such as fashion, music, athletics, all of those things. So if you see different names, platforms,
Yeah.
they're just different things that my office does to connect with the DMV community at large. We care about the arts, we care about the community, we care about sports. Our commitment to the DMV is holistic. It is not confined to just one region. And so you can connect with us on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, via phone, email, any way that you want to get in contact.
Yes. Um, yeah, like I said, this is a part of Black Wall Street DC, Operation Save DC's 30 Days of Giving. I feel like you'll be an amazing member of Black Wall Street DC. I'm going to send you some information on how you can become a member as we cut out all the marketing. My partner, Dr. Rhonda Hamilton, is running for mayor of Washington, D.C. in 2026. And she knows that to all the wards of D.C., she's familiar with people in every single ward, and she puts the members of the community into contact with the business owners directly. So to just eliminate the marketing. So that'd be something you'd be amazing at, because I can feel your passion about really wanting to help our community. So I'm definitely gonna get that information out to you. If anybody else would like to become a part of Black Wall Street DC, they can learn more at RhondaHamilton4DC.com. Rhonda Hamilton, and number 4, DC.com, and just click on Black Wall Street for more information. Just to close it out, BBO and family, this is what an amazing session tonight. A huge thank you to attorney Stevaughn J. Bush for not only sharing his expertise, but for giving back to our community with clarity, guidance, and the legal wisdom that every business owner and family truly needs. Now remember, legacy doesn't happen by accident. It's planned, protected, and built with intention. And thanks tonight to your free legal tips that were given to us by Stevaughn J. Bush. Many of you now have the insight to start making better decisions for your businesses, your families, and your generational wealth. Okay? This is what 30 Days of Giving is all about. It's part of Black Wall Street, DC, lifting each other up, providing real value, and empowering our community to grow stronger together. If you need personalized legal support, please reach out to the law offices of Stevaughn J. Bush. They serve Maryland and D.C., and they are dedicated to helping you to protect the things that matter most to you. Thank you all for watching, sharing, and being a part of this movement. Let's keep giving, let's keep building, and keep saving D.C. and the Black Business Owners Networks, Black business owners all over the world, especially part of BBON, one blessing at a time. All right? Again, go to Rhonda Hamilton, number 4, DC.com. Click on Black Wall Street to see how you can become a member. If you have something you'd like to give as part of 30 Days of Giving, it doesn't have to be monetary. It could be knowledge. It could be alive, just like we're doing this evening. Make sure you reach out to me. You can text 202-308-3157. Text or call 202-308-3157 for direct contact and to get on sooner than later. All right, guys. Good night, BBO and family.
Can I
Good
get
night
a,
to
make it a
everyone
way
who's
so I can do a
watching.
screenshot?
Sure.
Wait, oh.
Got it? Perfect. All right. I'll be talking to you soon. Anybody else would like to become a member of Black Wall Street, DC? Make sure you go to the website, Rhonda Hamilton, number 4, DC.com. Click on Black Wall Street. I look forward to connect you directly to clients, eliminate all the marketing. Let's get it. Let's build this generational wealth. All right. Peace.
Have a good one.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.